All right, everybody, it's our last day of drafting. This is our last drafting lesson. This will be the last paragraph in your nonfiction piece. So this lesson is all about conclusions. How do we end these stories? So the only thing left is our concluding statement or section. This final section or statement has to leave readers with an enduring understanding of the topic. Today we're going to look at 3 options for concluding statements and craft one that works best for our pieces. First, we're going to look to our mentor text for inspiration and directions on writing conclusions. First, we're going to start with how to talk to your dog. So Jean Craighead George says in her text, as you and your dog talk together, you will soon see that dog talk is not just posture, scent, sound, or touch alone, but shades of all braided together into a clear and beautiful language. As the years pass, you and your dog may even speak less and less. You'll know what the other wants. Your old dog will look at you, and without a voiced command, he will sit or heel or run for the car. You will look at your dog and take him for a walk or toss him a frisbee. Such are the rewards of talk and love. Good dog talk to you. So we notice that Jean has used some of the same format for her conclusion that she did with her introduction. This is a circular structure. It brings the readers back to the introduction of the topic. In this example, Jean appeals to her readers' love of dogs in the introduction and the conclusion sections. Let's look at another book. Our second example is in If You Decide to Go to the Moon. This book offers readers a concluding statement that is powerful and leaves them feeling emotionally connected to the topic of moon and earth. So this is what it says. As you bend down to kiss the ground, you promise you will always do your best to protect all life on our beautiful earth. This author chose not to have a whole concluding section. That's not a paragraph, but she had one powerful statement. It makes us really want to care about the earth. Kind of makes us want to do all we can. This statement would probably be a good theme statement. If we think to our reading, this would be a statement that makes the reader know what lesson they were supposed to learn, which in this book it would be, you can travel to faraway places and you can do a lot of exploring away from home, but when you come back home, that's always going to be where your heart is. All right, let's look at a third example. In this book, this is the book Into the Sea. And so this author chose to do a concluding section. Okay, so she has a whole section because remember, this book was definitely like a narrative style. So it takes us back to the beach where the turtle was born at the end of the narrative. But her concluding section is all about how to care for turtles that we might see on the beach and how life is precious to a turtle and how, because they are kind of still endangered and they are an animal that has been hunted by humans, and our environment is not the best in their for their habitat right now. We've kind of damaged their habitat with our trash and with our fishing and all that stuff. Okay, so she ends the story like this. It is a difficult and delicate venture for a sea turtle to leave the ocean and lay her eggs on land. In the exposed setting of sand and shallow water, things can go wrong for the turtle, her eggs, or hatchlings. Centuries ago, settlers, explorers, and pirates landed on New World beaches and discovered the turtle nesting sites. They ate turtle eggs, grabbed the slow, plodding females as they crossed the sand, and caught turtles that came up for air or basked on top of the ocean. Turtles were flipped on their backs and stacked alive on ship decks until fresh meat was needed by the cook. It didn't take long for the population of sea turtles to decline dramatically. There are other problems for these reptiles. Some turtle eggs are crushed by vehicles on beaches, while others are eaten by dogs, raccoons, jaguars, and snakes. Hatchlings get caught by birds, crabs, and fish. And larger turtles are killed so that fancy items can be made from their shells. And then there are the many turtles that die in fishing nets or after swallowing plastic and other debris in the ocean. Today, sea turtles and their eggs are protected by laws, but they still face the loss of their nesting places. Many resorts, homes, and hotels have been built on nesting beaches. Still, turtles return to these beaches and lay eggs if they can find stable, moist sand above the high tide mark. If turtles hatch, they can be confused by all the lights around them and may crawl toward the brightness of a resort or highway instead of the sea. There used to be millions of sea turtles, and now there are only several thousand. However, by working to protect nesting sites, provide safe care for the eggs, and establish new nesting beaches, people hope to dramatically increase the number of turtles in the sea. So this concluding page kind of tells the reader why we need to protect the sea turtles, that a lot of the things that we do on the beach affects the way that sea turtles are able to reproduce and live in our world, because we should share the world with them. And so it kind of gives the reader some ideas about what some of the dangers are. Okay, and then that would maybe inspire them to do work to protect sea turtles. Okay, so, oops, my last one got a little messy. So we've had 3 types of conclusions. We've had the circular conclusion. We go back to our introduction, and if we talk about love at the beginning, we're talking about love at the end, or whatever your topic kind of leads you to. The second one was like if you go to the moon. You have something emotional, something that gives your reader the feels. It's going to make them feel a little mad or sad or happy or excited or empowered or pride. You want to have some kind of emotional power statement. This will be something that makes kind of a theme statement, something you want your reader to learn. And then last but not least, the last one is the additional information. And so this one is going to be the one that provides the reader with just something else that the rest of the book didn't tell them. So like if you do a narrative version, or if you do a narrative structure, then you might do an additional information page at the end to kind of clear it up for your reader. Like, this is why we want to protect this animal, or this is why we want to participate in this activity, or this is why this topic is important. And so you give your reader that one last little push of this is why we care about this topic. All right. So consider these different approaches to writing. They all would be very good concluding statements or conclusions for your stories. You might want to try out 1 or 2 on a piece of paper, and then you can go to your draft and you can finish up your story on the on the last slide, if that works for you. And then think about any of these conclusions as ways to end your piece of writing. Next week, we're going to work on revising. We'll have 2 lessons, one on visuals, and then we'll have one on adding those concrete details. All right, so more next week.